Hello and welcome to this episode of Yarn Chats. My name is Nicole and I'm the brains and the beauty behind Yarncraft by Nicole. First off, I wanted to explain why there was no podcast last week, just in case you're not following me on Instagram. Sometimes my posts on YouTube don't go through and I find it easier to just post things on Insta when something comes up. Last Thursday, Thursdays are when I record these, last Thursday morning, our dog Scoot was attacked by another dog. It was pretty bad. We spent most of the morning in the emergency vet getting 11 stitches in his ear. Thankfully, he is healing great. He's been the best dog ever. He's been the best patient ever, but it's been a hard week and just a lot that we're dealing with that. So it did not make any sense for me to try to record a podcast before today. Scoot's doing fine, and he should make full recovery. It's just been a very hard situation all the way around, but we're okay. And we're very thankful that he got all of the medical attention that he needed very quickly. With that, I feel ready to talk and have conversations about yarn, knowing that we're safe and that we're good, but just so you're tracking, that's something that happened last week. My featured make is the garden trellis top. I'm going to stand up a little bit so you can see it. This was a pattern test I did, might have been 2 years ago, for Haley Handcrafted, and I used Wonderland's, it's got a fun name, Kerfuffle colorway on their Cheshire Cat fingering base. I really do like this top. I like the way it fits. It does have a much wider neckline than I intended, and I think too just the way that the yarn, because it's a loosely twisted 2-ply, it doesn't have a lot of structure. So what I think I need to do is to make another one, maybe make one that's a little bit longer and make it with a smaller neckline, maybe full sleeves. It's a great pattern. I really like it a lot. She also did a garden trellis cardi, which I also made, and it's really cute. It's one of the things that I wear all the time in the summer. I've got the flat iron shawl behind me. This is a TL Yarncrafts pattern, and this was made in Coast to Coast yarns. It's beautiful. It's a little bit more subtle. I guess both of these are a little bit more subtle colorways than I usually go for, but I just loved the way that all of those came together. So since this past week has been a little stressful, a lot of the projects that I've been working on have been more mindless and more repetitive. I do want to tell you that we did go to Comic-Con the week that I told you I wouldn't be recording, and that was such a fun time. Me, my husband, and then his 3 siblings went with us. We all had an Airbnb. It was a quick weekend trip to California. Very long plane flight, and my pregnancy stamina for flights is pretty low, so I was a little nervous about that, but we had a great time with family. It was the first time I had been, his sister and his youngest brother had been. He had gone before with his the next oldest sibling, and it was a lot of fun. We all got dressed up in like our best costumes the first day, took a lot of great pictures, and and had a shorter first day because everybody was so tired from all the travel coming in. And then the next day we did a lot of shopping. We got some great art. That's one of the things that my husband Vaughn and I really like to buy when we go to really any big event like that, or even when we travel, is to find great art. And we found some really cool pieces. There was one that we're big Spider-Man fans, which you'll see in a second, but there was one that was a Comic-Con exclusive where it was, what is it called when you can like move the picture and it changes a little bit? I'm blanking on the name, but you know what I mean. And it was like the 3 Spider-Men from No Way Home. So the Tom Holland one, the Andrew Garfield one, and the Tobey Maguire one, like depending on where you looked, like their faces showed up. That was really cool. We got some Women of Marvel art. We got a really cool realistic Tiana print that we might put in our little girls' room, like just a bunch of great art. So it was a good time, and it was fun to just kind of see everybody get so excited. It was fun to see a lot of the like really cool cosplayers. Like there were 2 really good Queen Amidala's. They were like fully dressed up in that red dress. We saw some that were like a fun play on something. So there was like a disco Mandalorian that was hot pink and was like walking around with a boombox. And then there was like a sexy Gandalf, Sauron, and Nazgul from Lord of the Rings that were all in like fishnets. It was just a joyful time, and we had a wonderful time. And anytime you spend time with family, it's good. And it was a fun like just siblings trip plus me, and we had a great time. So that was great. So I've got a lot of things to show you. I guess since we're talking about Comic-Con, I'll show you this. Apparently Spider-Man Day was this past week. That is not something I had really heard of before, but it was on both of our Apple calendars, and we're like, oh, well, I guess we need to watch Spider-Man tonight and just wear Spider-Man clothes. So I had a kit that my sister got me a couple of years ago that came with this book. Let's see if it'll focus for you. There you go. It's from, I think it's either Kati or Kati Galusz, but it has like patterns for a lot of the Avengers. Spider-Man's in here, Thor, Captain America, Hulk, She-Hulk, Iron Man, Black Widow, and the kit that I got came with enough yarn to make a Spider-Man and a Captain America. We'll see if I make the Captain America or if I just repurpose that yarn for something else, but I thought the Spider-Man was really cute, and it is really cute. In fact, I'm gonna let you look real quick. That you embroider with, you know, just embroidery floss, the Spider-Man detail on the middle. There we go. And I'm very proud of how well I did the Spider-Man detail in the middle. It was not that detailed in the book, but I knew that 1, it would bother me if it wasn't right, and 2, it would bother my husband if it wasn't right. So it came out really cute. My husband has already asked if I can make a Spider-Gwen version, because we're gonna put this in baby girl's room, and this is her first crocheted Spider-Man. And I don't do a ton of amigurumi. I certainly don't do it generally with a pattern, and I'm really pleased with the way that this one came out. So yeah, made a little Spider-Man. It's teeny tiny and very cute. I did that on Spider-Man Day, and finished it while we were watching No Way Home, which was fun. The beginning of the weekend, when we were just kind of monitoring Scoot's health and making sure that he was okay, not that we have stopped doing that, but when it was a little bit more touch and go, when he was on painkillers and coming off the sedation from stitches and all that jazz, I needed a few mindless projects. So there's a shirt that I have been working on called the Hattie Tee that uses granny squares, and I had some yarn and stash that I thought looked really good together. So I had already started the squares, and over the weekend I just cranked all the ones I needed out. I think I've got 52. And I don't need to show you all 52, but I'll show you kind of a handful so you can kind of get a sense of what the color palette is like. It's like rosy, mauves, dark reds, navies, purples. Let's see if it lets me. Yeah, not the best way to show these, but they're all pretty small. They're all just a 3 round granny square. They came out really cute. Some of this yarn is from Fiber Story, some is from Montana Crochet. I think there's some Wonderland in there. Just kind of colors that I already had that were all DK weight that I thought went together. And then Made by Haley Bailey is somebody that does both patterns and yarn that I follow on Instagram. I've made her, excuse me, goldfinch sweater that's like kind of that orangey yellow sweater that I've worn on here with the baubles before. And her color palette is very earthy. There's a lot of like subtle greens and blues and yellows and browns and tans. So I've never ordered yarn from her before, but I have wanted to. And when I finished these, I was like, well, I think that this is a Made by Haley Bailey yarn moment. So I messaged her and I sent her a picture of the squares and said, hey, these are some colors I'm kind of thinking would complement this particular color palette. This is the pattern that I'm making. What do you suggest? And she was super helpful, and she's like, yeah, I held up your picture to my skeins here and I came up with the same 3 colors that you did. Like, this is what this color will do, this is what this color will do, these are the things that it'll pull out. So I'm really excited. I have ordered the yarn and I'll show it to you when it gets here. Feel free to guess kind of in the comments below about what kind of color I picked. But I'm really excited about it, and it'll be a fun opportunity to try a new to me yarn, which I'm always excited to do. So I made all of the grading squares for that, and I wove in the ends kind of as I went, and really enjoyed that process. So that was really good. And speaking of granny squares, I mean, you see I just dropped one, but I have so many to go into that particular t-shirt. It's cute because it's got, like, I think this one has 4 granny squares, like 4 granny squares down for the shirt, and then a row of granny squares on the sleeve. Mine is going to be 3 because my granny squares are a little bit bigger than the patterns were. Like, my gauge is a little bit bigger. And I'm also using a wool instead of an acrylic. She either used acrylic or cotton. So I know it's going to drape and stretch a little bit more than hers did. So yeah, so I'm very excited about that. I think it's gonna be very, very cute. But I was on a granny square train, and I have been working on some projects for craft fair that I'm going to be doing in September, which is coming up very quickly. And I had an idea for some granny square coasters, and you might have seen that I released a video tutorial for those coasters earlier this week. It's something that I had filmed, I think, on Wednesday, so like all the footage was there, and it was something that I could put together while being at home this week without a lot of mental energy or a lot of planning per se. So I made these. If you haven't seen the video, you should check it out. But they're super cute. I used, are you focusing? There we go. I used CotLin, which you're gonna see this color palette 3 times in this video, from We Crochet. These were leftovers that I had from some cardigans that I made for my sister and my best friend. And so I wanted to see if I could make a set of coasters, and they came out really cute. They're double-sided, so the front is a traditional granny square, the back is a solid one, and there's a cool way that you join it together. And I'm happy about this because since they are cotton and linen, they're very easy to take care of, and they shouldn't be finicky. You have to clean them because they're a coaster. Like, they are going to get condensation on them. They might get drink spilled on them. So I try to think things through and make things easy to care where it makes sense. But I have a set of 4 of these that'll be in my to sell at the fair pile. And I was showing these to my sister, and she was suggesting that I do some that are just solid on the front and a different color on the back, and I will probably do that with maybe an acrylic or something else that I have. But I'm very happy with the way that these came out, and I really hope they sell. If they don't, you'll see them on my Etsy. Anything that doesn't sell at the fair, I'll be putting up there. And then, because I still had more yarn, I worked on this bag, which you might recognize this pattern. This is the Tobago Bag from TL Yarncrafts. She did this as part of her Crochet Academy this year. This was a free pattern. It's still a free pattern. And I made mine smaller than hers because hers has 4 colors. Mine only has 3. So I stopped at the 3rd color, which also means I had to change a little bit at the top for the stitch counts. But that's just because I didn't have a 4th color of this yarn, and I really liked the way that these 3 played together without having to repeat anything. So really happy with this. This is also going to go in the market section. And yeah, I think it's super cute. I like it a lot. It's a fun pattern. I don't make a ton of bags, and I really liked making this bag. And because I still had more yarn, I had about a little less than 2 skeins of each color, and each skein was 50 grams. So roughly 300 grams total. Is that right? That sounds right. So I'm using up the last little bit here. Also, here's the label so you can kind of see what I used. I also showed off in the video. CotLin. It's a DK weight from We Crochet. And I've worked on this linen stitch square. Trying to hold you in the good light. I've got a little bit more of this coral color. And then I've got more of the burgundy, and that's where I'll stop. But I haven't decided what this will become. If this will be like a table decoration, I put a pretty border on the edge of it, or if this will become a little bag or pillow. If I fold it up like this. I don't know if you've ever seen these where you take like a square and you fold it up kind of origami style in the back. I'm doing a terrible job showing you, but it would make it reversible. I'm kind of leaning towards the pillow idea. It would be a small pillow because it's not going to get much bigger than like that on one side, but we'll see. We'll see what it becomes. I don't think it's super, I don't know. I don't know that it would sell as like a doily or something like that, but we'll see. And then once I'm done with that, that's the last bit of those colors that I have to use. I'm trying to use as much of stash as I have, either things that have been gifted to me, things I bought because I thought they were cute and never had a plan for them, or leftovers from other projects. So very happy about that. I also worked on, this on the plane to and from California for Comic-Con. These are little Lattice Stitch. It's a set of 2 washcloths. They're exactly the same. So 2 of these guys, and then a hand towel that is all made from Coboo, which is a cotton and bamboo blend. These will hold up really well to being thrown in the washer. Personally, I love pretty things, but I don't love decorative towels that you're afraid to use. So these should hold up pretty well. This is actually left over from my Vera Vero V-neck, which I'm very impressed that I was able to say all of that without stuttering. I had some extra yarn from that based on the size that I made. So yeah, I really like it a lot. I love this color. This is probably my favorite shade of blue. This is the blue that my bridesmaids wore in my wedding. So I like this a lot. I loved this stitch. Yeah, I hope that this set sells. If it doesn't, look for it on Etsy. And then I made an ear warmer. This is actually yarn that was part of yarn that was dyed for the yarn shop I used to work at in Kentucky, the Wooden Needle. It's called the Wooden Needle Jewels. And I bought a sweater's quantity skein of the worsted weight version of it. It's from Stitch Together Studios. See if it wants to focus on this. maybe not. I've made a Kensington tote out of this, which is another TL Yarncrafts pattern. And then I made a mini version for friends of ours, also in the plain. I've already gifted that, but friends of ours have a little girl who's 5, I believe. And when we visited them last summer, she really liked my Kensington tote, so I made her a mini one, and then I had just enough left over to make this. This looks super small, but it fits over my head and it stretches a lot. It's a superwash merino, so made that. That'll be cute. And then this I originally made for my husband, and it's too tight and it doesn't have the right amount of stretch, but it fits on my head fine. I'll show you. So I think that I say it fits on my head fine. It's snug. It might also end up in the to sell section. Either that or I'll take it apart and make it out of something else, because I really like the yarn. This was inspired by Captain Marvel, because we are giant Marvel fans here. And then I have worked on a couple of letters for baby girl's alphabet blankets. I don't think I've mentioned that here because I think I realized it when we were in California, but the last set of letters that I did, because I'm doing all of the letters with one background at a time, and I messed up and I did a V when I should have done a W. So with that being said, I think I'm now going to do the W, the very last letter that I do, and see what color I need. But because I should be doing the W on this light blue background that I will not be doing the W on, long story short. So one of the ones this week was a blank one. This is, I'm going to try to get you in good light. Focus, focus, focus. This is from Sorella Yarn. It was an oopsie skein. And then I've made the letter A. Trying to make sure I show you the front. Yeah, this is the front. It's very cute. I have one wonky row right here where I just did not pull the light blue tight enough through it as I was working on it, but I'm hoping that that blocks out. And if not, it's okay. Not the end of the world. So I did those. For her blanket, I think this means that I've done 10, so this is 12, 11 and 12 out of the 30 that I'll need. And then I also started the pumpkin sweaters that I feel like I've been talking about forever but haven't started until yesterday, that I'm making with Panaramic yarn from Big Twist. I'm actually making them look a little bit like pumpkins. I made a light pink version of this for another friend earlier this year, and I really like the pattern. So me and my best friend are both pregnant at the same time. Her due date is 2 weeks before mine, so I'm making our girls matching pumpkin sweaters. And I got through most of the yoke yesterday of the first one. And then one of the sweaters is going to be this light orange. One of the sweaters is going to be the darker orange. And I haven't decided whose will be whose. But started that yesterday because I feel like I haven't done many projects for baby girl, so I wanted to get some work done. I have purchased new yarn, but it's just been ordered, so I don't have any new yarn to show you. We did not do any yarn shopping in San Diego for Comic-Con because one, there were no yarn vendors at Comic-Con, which, or at least if they were, I didn't find them. And two, we just didn't do anything else other than Comic-Con while we were there. We didn't have enough time to do anything else. So with that, that's all I've got this week. I feel like this week I've shown you a bunch of finished objects and whips kind of all thrown together. but that has just been the type of week it has been. And with that, what I can't let go of this week, besides everything that I've mentioned that happened a week ago, is that now I'm over the halfway point of my pregnancy. I'm almost 22 weeks, and I can start feeling her move and start feeling her kick, and that's really exciting. And that's just been fun, because I feel like the first trimester and going into the second is like you're just waiting on cool things to happen and waiting to not feel like you need to sleep all day. And cool things are starting to happen, and it's great. We got an anatomy scan last week. Yeah, I guess it was last week is when we came back from Comic-Con, which is like a more in-depth ultrasound, and it was really cool to see all the ways that she's been growing and see her moving around and see her getting a little camera shy when she was just done being prodded. And I was also feeling the same way, so I understood completely. And yeah, so that's why I can't let go of it. It's very exciting, and we're thrilled and are thrilled for each new step with that. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And let me know down in the comments below some other things that either you would like to see, some other cool projects that you might like to see, or let me know the color that you think that I picked for the Hattie tee. I'll see you next time. Bye.